Nagabenta ki khubor baman kasngi pet but subscribe ya u Antor News. Kublay pi baro kinikilong ki khubor bamta kasngi. Omtip balay bat kumno ka perkhat bat nyaw ya ka Iing Dorbar thawan kadai ka ai bat balay ki dukhat ka Liang pyrshah ki mi no na ka Dorbar mang tingka ha kasngi kun. U Dr. Zelestun ula kerpat u lampang banweng no iki kentien ba ula pendon kam ba kila shupin serwaka ya ka por bat ban penben da ka ba penben ya ka jingkran ba ya lambakla jo menteri rangba baong ba ka sni tho dieng ka dei ka ba vote ya ka supplementary demand ka long ka ba bakla bat ka ba hap ban penben. Menteri Rangba Konrad Kisang Mau Loong bagi dekot ke Liang pyrshah kila shupelong isu klem dau ha ka ba maki hi daladi kila dan benta ha ba shimrai ha ka por ba ka Iing Dorbar ka pediang ya ka kalenda sngi shong Dorbar bala terwa da ka BAC. Ula kenok ru ya ka Liang pyrshah bakam kwa ban sngap ya ka jubab halor ka jingitai ya ka mang tingka hadien ka jingyo i ki jat kam ki bala pentrai kam hapo ka jella.
Wrong should not become right in future. Otherwise, people will tend to think that what is wrong is completely, meaning abnormality will become normal. Anything normal will be considered as abnormal. Abnormal will be considered as normal. But we have corrected it, and I think the message is loud and clear. That means the Chief Minister is yet to understand the overall spirit of these rules of procedure and conduct of business, which is again in sync with the Article 203 of the Constitution of India. Rules are not just made like these. Rules are consequent upon the mandate of the law and mandate of the provisions of the Constitution of India. And we have to be governed by that. Now you are already aware that when a budget is passed, at least there are two parts. That is there already. Now, they should have said that, yes, I think we overlooked it. Therefore, we stand to correct in future. That message did not come. Rather, they jumped to a blame game, which is completely to somehow again hide and defend themselves with lies. So, some people can be really expert in lies and create a perception which is completely in deviation from the truth. But it is our job to enlighten people and stick to our stand and be firm collectively. This is what our friends from the opposition have done. We are responding to our call of duty in truest term of the, in the best interest of the state with utmost sense of sincerity and commitment. In last 1 year, we were almost completing 1 year since last election and declaration of the result, the formation of the government. And I think from what is seen in the past, we are talking about the last 5 years, then we are also talking about the last 1 year after the election and the post-election formation of the government. Few things are very much visible, palpable. You are hearing what is happening. I think media has been also carrying substantial news which are confronting the people pertaining to the issues which are very serious nature. You are looking at the impunity with which they want to hide illegalities. They want to hide illegalities. I have shared today in the House where the government has shown very swift action in transferring an officer who was acting as per what was expected of the officer concerned to act upon inconsistent with the law and constitution of the country. I'm talking about the order of the DC which required an investigation pertaining to the complaint. Pertaining to the complaint of what? Illegal smuggling of high-valued areca nut, processed areca nut, and being transported through different districts. And immediately on the 4th of January, when the order was issued, notified rather by the Deputy Commissioner concerned from North Garo Hills, the next day the DC was transferred. What does it indicate? They're efficient in somehow acting on those measures which will be enabling them to hide the fact and allow illegally to continue with impunity. And when you talk about this illegal areca coming from outside, being smuggled into the country, it is flooding our market. You understand that? What happens when illegal products from outside the country come and flood the market drops, the price drops. So the price dropping is affecting our farmers. Similarly, when something is being smuggled through international border, please be aware of the fact that there are possibilities of other illegalities taking place. We have concern about the overall easy availability of various substances for abuse, drug abuse. We are also aware of this northeastern area, which has always been part of the conflict zone because of the easy access to illegal arms, sophisticated arms and ammunitions coming from across the border. So therefore, how it poses a threat for the future, how all these illegalities will ultimately become, something which will be considered as normal in future. Therefore, there is a need to stop all these illegalities, and therefore we have tried to draw the attention of the government. Now, with this limited time of 5 minutes, how is it possible for members to draw the attention of the government pertaining issues which are of serious concern? That's where we stood firm in ensuring that in future it is not repeated. Decades in the past, and today, in view of what is considered not inconsistent with the provision of the rules of procedure and conduct of business, we have seen that this issue pertaining to deviation from the rules of procedure and conduct of business have been raised last week also and today also. And the members who have raised this issue under the relevant provision of rules of procedure and conduct of business to raise the point of order under rules 300 of the rules of procedure and conduct of business, drawing the attention of the chair pertaining to those relevant rules. As far as today is concerned, you have seen that the rule 142 and 143 was referred, and in continuation to rule 144. So therefore, as we looked at, our responsibility lies in sending a clear message in the floor of the August House to the people in authority. You have heard the contention of the government, who have said that this overall calendar which has been placed before the August House has also been based on the proposal of the BSE approved by the House. Let us remember one thing, which is the usual practice. The usual practice is that, yes, Business Advisory Committee sits. The Honorable Speaker calls the meeting of the Business Advisory Committee, of which the chairman is the Honorable Speaker himself. But we decide on the working days, total working days. But all the placement of the items to be discussed are put up and placed before the August House on the day of the first day of the session. And you have seen how usually the overall practice, the trend of this overall practice has been is that the Business Advisory Committee usually decides on the total number of working days in the calendar. Subsequently, as I have said, the overall calendar in terms of the list of business, we're talking about list of business. List of business in every given calendar day of the calendar. Now, the list of the business, we were today and before also raising the point of order pertaining to the list of business. Now, in the list of business, as per the rules, budget has got two portions for consideration before the August House. One is that the general discussion, for which the Minister in charge of Finance will have the right to reply. Subsequent to that only, every demand for graft, which should be voted by the August House, is moved and put to vote. It's very clear. That's when the cut motions are, if there is any cut motion to be moved or tabled by any member of the August House, do so. And that is where we really fulfills our responsibility pertaining to the scrutiny of every single paisa that is proposed in the budget for spending by the government out of the public exchequer. In other words, out of the consolidated fund of the government. And unless this is done, then there is no other space where it can be subjected to that scrutiny. Therefore, inconsistent with this binding responsibility that is vested upon all the members of the August House, particularly to the members of the opposition, we have made it abundantly clear. And we are seeing that this trend is becoming a precedent. Therefore, keeping in mind their attitude, their body language, we understood that they will bulldoze the same thing in coming days also. And therefore, we would not want these precedents to ultimately become a regular exercise. We maintain that anything which is in complete deviation from the rules of procedure and conduct of business must be corrected, and there must be sincere intent from all concerned, particularly the government, to correct it. But today's attitude, today's their body language seems that this will become a precedent, and we want to send a very strong message, which is loud and clear, that opposition would like to send this message that we express our disapproval to this approach, and therefore we resorted to walk out to ensure that this does not become a precedent. Reconnect to what I have said. The Business Advisory Committee will decide only on the number of working days, in as far as the number of days which will be considered in the calendar, whether it will be 7 days, 10 days, or more, or a month. And during that time, during that agreed period of time, agreed days for the session, how many days are for the government, how many days are for the private members? Okay, there is usually a formula. Okay, if this much is the day which is required for government business, then this many days will be for the private members' business. Now, you have seen that the government business, it is their job to present before the Business Advisory Committee. Now, if you go by what is listed in the list of business, that means the Business Advisory Committee was misled. You get my point? Because they will have to do their own homework. How many days they will require for the presentation of the budget, then which is followed by budget discussion and the reply from the Minister in charge of Finance, subsequent to which every demand for grants is put to vote and the budget is passed. Now it is their job to decide how many days they will require. That means they have hidden from the Business Advisory Committee as to how many days they will require. You're with me? Or any lack of clarity? It is the job of the government, which is represented by the Minister in charge of Parliamentary Affairs, to indicate how many days will be required by the government in as far as government business is concerned. How can they subsume both supplement your demands for grants and the discussion on budget, which is completely in deviation of the rules? Rules doesn't provide this space. So